Okay, class, we're back to talk about erasers now, using the same little drawings that I made earlier. So I want to start with probably the one kind of eraser that you're most familiar with, which is a white vinyl eraser. You can also find erasers at the end of some pencils, but these don't generally last very long. So I tend to use the larger ones. These are kind of standard erasers. They're hard. So when you put pressure on them, they erase pretty well. Now notice that they leave little crumbs behind. That's just the vinyl wearing off them. So you have to kind of dust them off. They can make a little bit of a mess. So this is a very typical kind of eraser. This is called a kneaded eraser. And you may not have ever used one of these before, and they may seem a little odd to you, but they're excellent erasers. I just unwrapped this one out of its little plastic wrapper, so it looks like a little block. But the thing about them is that they are squeezable. That's why they're called kneaded erasers. This is kneading like you would knead bread dough. So see how I can stretch it and mush it together. This is a feature of a kneaded eraser that's actually very important, because when you use this with charcoal, which we'll discuss later on in another video, you can make this self-cleaning. In other words, when you rub with it, I'm just going to rub a little bit here. See, it erases. You have to apply a little bit more pressure than you do with the vinyl eraser, but it leaves a little bit of residue on the eraser. I can kind of squeeze it together and get rid of that, or just knead it right into the eraser. So these are really excellent erasers. And notice they didn't leave any crumbs behind. In fact, a lot of times when I'm working, if I work with a vinyl eraser, and I erase, and I leave those crumbs behind, then I can actually kind of pick them up and get rid of them with the kneaded eraser instead of my hand. So the other thing that's nice about these is you can squeeze them into a particular shape. So let's say you want kind of a wedge shape that you can cut in just particular areas you can erase out very finely. So it has a lot of versatility. I really like a kneaded eraser. Don't be put off by the strangeness of it at first. It's actually a very, very good tool. The last eraser I want to talk about is what I call a stick eraser. This is a Mono Zero, I think it's called Mono Zero. And notice how fine that eraser is. It's really a fine-tipped eraser. So this isn't for really erasing big areas. This is for fine erasing. Now, erasing isn't just getting rid of things. It can be used as a drawing tool. Let's say I take one of my softer pencils here, make a little room here, and I make a nice shade with it, just really quickly. These softer pencils are really best for that, making a nice flat area. And if I want to come in, I can come in with my pencil style or stick eraser, and I can erase out very specific little areas within that. So don't think of erasers just as correction tools, although they are that. They're also drawing tools, and this is a particularly fine one. You can get thicker versions of this. This is called a Tuffy. I haven't been able to find these easily anymore, but they work pretty much the same way. They're just a little thicker than the Mono Zero. These come in very handy when we're working with charcoal. So those are your erasers. I actually end up using my kneaded eraser the most. I use my vinyl eraser when I really need to get as close back down to the white of the paper as possible. It's hard to get all the way back down, but notice when I'm erasing here, get rid of that stuff, kind of a mess, that my finer lines are much easier, my light lines are much easier to erase than my darker lines. So that's another lesson that I'm going to be drumming into your heads is draw light to begin with so your correction is easier. Okay, we'll see you soon.